First thing I wanted to touch base with you on, we were recently doing Starrcade 1986, Night of the Skywalkers, and before actually Starrcade, I think it's about 2 weeks before, they air a Midnight Express scaffold match training video. Yeah, there you go. So, me and Doc and Harper, my two illustrious co-hosts, are doing the show, and we can't stop laughing because Bobby Eaton is heard several times during the training session. Jimmy, I ain't going up there. Jimmy, I ain't going up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
As you yell at him to climb it, and they're putting on such a great performance. They don't want to do it. Now I know these guys had done scaffold matches before. However, what was it like recording that Midnight Express scaffold match training video for NWA Saturday Night at that time?
Well, that was the thing is that we were it was set up in the old Charlotte Coliseum, now the Bojangles Coliseum. But it was in Charlotte because obviously that's where we live and that's where the office was. And I'm trying to remember if they even had anybody really from the office, because it's not like Dusty was not going to come down there to where they set the scaffold. Klondike Bill set the fucking scaffold up, right? And whoever he had, I know he was there, and they sent the camera down. It's Jackie Crockett, I'm pretty sure. And Doug Dillinger might have wandered by or whatever, but it's not like Dusty and the whole office is going to come down and shoot this thing. So I can't remember. They may have just told us beforehand, go down and shoot the promo. JJ might have come or whatever. Maybe Jackie's delivered a message. Okay, but basically the gist of it when we went into it was cut a promo where Bobby's the one that's scared and don't want to go up there. And Bobby's the one I always abused. See, I couldn't get away with doing it. Dennis, you couldn't push Dennis around or it would have buried Dennis, right? But you could push Bobby around and it actually gave Bobby more heat because we had the dynamic that in the relationship. So we just concocted, okay, roll the goddamn tape and I'll cut the promo and Bobby will be scared to go up there and Dennis don't really want to. And, and we did it. I don't even remember if we did 2 takes.
That's what I was going to ask, if it took more than one or if y'all just let it roll one time and it was good to go.
Well, in those days, and once again, who was producing me? I wasn't going to, sometimes I'd say, oh, if it was on pre-tape, I can do something better. Let me do it again. But I don't, because they didn't want to have to be climbing up and down. I'd get heat if I fucking botched the thing. So back in those days, unless you cussed or just completely quit speaking English and began having a series of small strokes verbally, they left the camera rolling. So
yeah.
But I'm glad people remember. But to me, the great one, I didn't think that was any of our greatest work. But the great one was the Road Warriors and Ellering up there with the pumpkins.
Yes. Oh my God, that was. We were talking about that recently too, where they're splattering the pumpkins on the ground and they writing Bobby's name and Dennis's name on it. It's on the network. It's not as good because they've got that dubbed over music and not the actual Road Warrior music. But yeah, we were talking about that, how they climbed up. All three of us agree. We're not climbing up those things. We're like, hell with that. And I don't know if you remember this with the Express. When y'all did that tape, at the end of it, Bubba scales the scaffold and walks across it like he's just having a stroll through the park. Where, like, he has no fear. Bubba has no. Did you remember him climbing it at the end and walking straight across? And he's just like, I'm just going for a stroll in the park.
Yeah, he just wanted to see what, But now here's the thing. Going back a second to the pumpkins. This is an example of the psychology of the thing. Everybody remembers, if we had been the ones with the pumpkins up there, yeah, Road Warriors, this is what you're going to look like. And we throw those pumpkins on and boom, and boom. And the Road Warriors had just gotten they were actually on a real construction scaffold. So they looked rougher, right? And although it was way high up there above the parking lot. But if they just cut the promo up there, we're going to kill you, it would have thrown the whole thing off. We were the heels. We had to be scared. We had fucked them up. As a matter of fact, a lot of people may not remember because you watch things out of context on the internet these days.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why the scaffold match came into being was that on TV, on Atlanta TV, on TBS, we had jumped the Road Warriors and used my loaded racket to fucking beat them into insensibility and injure Hawk's back. And they'd been gone for a month, and that never happened. Nobody ever in those days, and then a couple years later, they did a thing with the Powers of Pain where they fucking hit them with the barbell, but nobody'd ever hurt the Road Warriors.
Yep.
Ever. and injured them, and they'd gone anywhere. So Dusty concocted that. And of course, they went to Japan for 4 weeks for about 20 grand for fucking Baba. No, wait a minute. What am I saying? Fucking 20, more like 40 probably. But anyway, I digress. So they go to Japan, and the deal is they have to come back in an ultimate match to get revenge, and that was part of the deal. We were going to be in a feature match at the biggest NWA event of all time, and they did an injury angle for that to get heat on us so they could come back and beat us, and we all get the big payoff. Imagine how these things used to work out like that. Imagine that.
It's so simple.
But the point is, if we had not been the ones scared for our lives, then it wouldn't have worked. And if they had not been the ones illustrating to the people what we would look like when we were thrown off the scaffold and smashed into bits, and that's what people wanted to see. They were able to take advantage of the fact that our little weaselly asses had more heat than anybody else on the fucking roster. And the people legitimately, many of them wanted to see us, if not killed, then thrown off and hurt and crippled and taken away in an ambulance. So that's why that thing worked. It's a shitty match. But just the people wanted so bad to see us fall off that thing in any way and see somebody get hurt. And by God, never let it be said that Jim Cornette does not give the people what they want.
I was watching it not even a week ago, and I watch you fall, and I go, oh, you can see the knee just buckle. I was like, oh, damn. And I've heard you tell a story about how Bubba was supposed to catch you, and he kind of was too far back, and it
wasn't even a catch, but more of a break of the fall. But I just went, I plummeted straight past him like goddamn, looked like Wile E. fucking Coyote coming off that goddamn thing.
You know, when you watch Bobby and Dennis fall, though, too, I think Bobby fell all right, but Dennis, when he fell, I thought he almost looked like he got injured.
No, Dennis Condrey is the only guy I've ever seen that could take the scaffold bump right and not get hurt. And Bobby sprained his ankle on this right before, which people don't remember because I blew my fucking knee and was surgerized immediately afterwards. But when Bobby goes down, he on his swinging from the apparatus, he got swinging a little too far and got and I think right leg down first, and he sprained his ankle. But Dennis Condrey could take that goddamn bump where it looked like it hurt him, but it really didn't. If you watch every time Dennis came off that scaffold, he lets go with both feet headed straight down, and he lands in like almost a catcher's crouch where both feet are out, and boom, and immediately somehow takes a flat back bump, and it looks like it works. And so he lands on his feet and then goes to his back, but it would sell in convulsions. And it wasn't falling into bed, but he didn't get injured.
Right.
And it looked good, and people bought it. But Bobby would come off in any fucking direction. Cause see, I did it the once, but I watched those guys. We did, I think, a dozen of them with the Rock and Roll in Mid-South, and that was a 16-foot scaffold. And then obviously the Starrcade, I'm sorry, it was a 20-foot scaffold, 16 feet off the ring.
Right.
Starrcade was 20 feet off the ring. So then when they had the house show returns on those with the Road Warriors and the Midnight, which since I was recovering from surgery, they didn't ask me to do it again.
Thank God, right?
Yeah, but the guys they did another 8 or 10 of those then, and then we did them with the Fantastics.
Yeah.
And it was Rock and Roll Express. And the problem is they're not good matches. And I mean, it was with the Rock and Roll and the Fantastics, it was obviously easier than with Hawk and Animal, although they were 300-pound guys. They would have been seriously injured if they'd ever attempted to take that bump, much less done it by accident, right?
Yep.
But we wanted to have a better performance, but I guess in a way it's a compliment that not only do when people think of scaffold matches, they think of the Midnight Express, because they were the guys that were athletic enough to do it and had heat enough where people didn't mind seeing a crummy match as long as we got hurt. So that's kind of a compliment. They will pay to see us get it. It doesn't even need to be entertaining. We just need to get hurt, and they're going to be happy. That's how much heat we fucking had. So, and as a matter of fact, just recently on my podcast, the Jim Cornette Experience, for the Cult of Cornette listeners out there, we were going over some facts and figures on NWA business. To this day, the biggest indoor gate that the NWA ever drew in the city of Philadelphia at Civic Center was $166,500 sellout at raised prices in January '87 for the Midnight and the Road Warriors in the Scaffold rematch from Starrcade.
I'll be darned.
They just wanted to fucking see us die, and they chanted for months afterwards. The people chanted Pumpkinhead at us. So when we would go out, and once the babyface would get in the ring, whoever we worked with didn't have to be the Road Warriors because they just liked the promo of and us being called Pumpkinhead. So all the babyface had to do was just stand in the corner and clap their hands because the people were chanting Pumpkinhead while we screamed and cried for them not to for 3 or 4 minutes in most places. It made the match easier because the people are screaming as loud as they can and we're not doing anything. So what the fuck?